Hey, good Tuesday morning or afternoon, you guys. Welcome back to the LWN Network and Headline Hits with myself, Tammy Nation. Glad to be hosting this for you every Monday through Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time. We have a whole bunch of stuff to cover this morning on this Tuesday, April 8th, 2025. I hope you're having a good start to your week so far. We have power and it stayed on for 24 hours almost. So I've been happy about that and being able to prep this newscast for you this morning. So we're going to go ahead and get started on this right away. And we're going to start with, once again, we have the different judges that are trying to play ping pong with Donald J. Trump. First of all, it's the Federal Appeals Court denies Trump administration effort to stop judge's order to return MS-13 gang member. They blast the DOJ and say they're lawlessness. A federal appeals court on Monday denied the Trump administration's request to stop a judge's order to return alleged MS-13 gang member Kilmar Abrigio to the United States. The Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals also blasted the DOJ for suspending the DOJ immigration lawyer who repeatedly apologized to the judge last week during a hearing. Fourth Circuit allows district courts command that Trump return Garcia in violation of the immigration order. He could be removed from the U.S., but not to El Salvador. So that's the big hang-up, apparently, with this judge's decision. Last Friday, U.S. District Judge of the U.S. District Court of Maryland, Paula Zenas, ordered the Trump administration to return the gang member to the United States after he was deported to El Salvador's notorious CECOT prison. We've seen a lot of video about that prison. Judge Zenas ordered that the Salvadorian gang member be returned by Monday at midnight. This was an illegal act, the judge stated. And according to Politico, Congress said you can't do it, and you did it anyway. The Trump administration maintains that Abrigio is a dangerous gang member who was involved in human trafficking. On Sunday, Judge Zenas denied the Trump administration to request to lift her order, demanding the return of the gang member to the United States. The judge said the Trump administration's grievous error to deport Abrigio shocks the conscience. The Trump administration appealed that order later Sunday, and the Fourth District Circuit Court of Appeals demanded a response from the attorneys for the deported El Salvadorian. On Monday, the Fourth District Court denied the Trump administration efforts to stop the return of Abrigio. It was a three-judge panel, and they unanimously ruled against Trump and blasted the DOJ for suspending the immigration lawyer. So yes, this judge is fighting for this person that to be returned back to the U.S. They also were upset that our own DOJ suspended the immigration lawyer that didn't do things legally. The appeals court judge said the duty of zealous representation is tempered by the duty of candor to the court, among other ethical obligations, and the duty to uphold the rule of law, particularly on the Department of Government attorney. The DOJ immigration lawyer Ruvenai repeatedly apologized to Judge Zenas during Friday's hearing and apologized for the Trump administration's actions. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I can't even believe this is real, that you read through this and you understand that our own judges are going against the people. We've been talking about this a lot. It's a different judge all the time. It's the federal judges going against all these deportations of these illegals, saying that we're doing it illegally, even though they're here illegally. They're criminals. Many are criminals from the past that have moved into our country illegally, causing crimes and harm to people here, and then they still want to keep them here. So it doesn't make any sense. To follow up on this continuing story, on Saturday, Pam Bondi made it clear that this behavior is not going to be tolerated. The appeals court judge blasted the DOJ and said the Trump's administration actions related to the deportation of Abrigio will take us down a path of perfect lawlessness. So they believe that that Trump's administration is being lawlessness by allowing these people to be shipped back out where they belong. The United States government has no legal authority to snatch a person who is lawfully present in the United States off the street and remove him from the country without due process. However, later on, a Supreme Court Chief Justice Roberts, he identifiably completely blocked an order requiring the return of Abrigio by midnight last night, Monday. So Earlier Monday, President Trump did ask the U.S. Supreme Court to intervene and grant an emergency stay of the judge order to return the gang member to the United States. But Roberts did grant the Trump administration to stay on Judge Zenas' order pending resolution. Lawyers for Abrigio Garcia have until the end of today to respond. So this is how messy this is. This one little case, it went on through the week. Things are processing fast. But Pam Bondi said this is ridiculous, and they have until the lawyers for Abrigio do have until today to respond. I don't know why we're wasting all this time, effort, money on these illegals and these criminals, but we are. So there's still a lot of corruption and processing to do to get this all cleaned up, definitely, in our country. It's a long road ahead of us. We have a big fight ahead of us, but the Trump administration is doing the best they can to counteract all these corrupt moves by these federal judges. Up next, we've got DOGE. Official Antonio Gracias says millions of migrants who were welcomed to the United States under the former President Joe Biden are now in the nation's Medicaid rolls and voter rolls, with some having voted in last year's election. Once again, the deep mess that has been created by the illegals being allowed here from the last administration. Most recently, DOGE chief Elon Musk said that potentially millions of illegal aliens who arrived in the U.S. under Biden have secured Social Security numbers, which we talked about. In a recent interview, Gracias detailed how easy it was for migrants freed into the U.S. to get Social Security numbers on Biden's watch. Border Patrol was giving people at times notices to appear, which are called NTAs. And what that allows you to do is come into the country when you're scheduled to a court date like 6 years out. Remember, we talked about that in this story. It takes 6 years for them to process this. Gracias said there is no identification verification in this process to gain a Social Security number, and that about a quarter of the migrants that were reviewed by DOGE did not have their fingerprints taken by Border Patrol once they crossed the southern border. So once again, another loophole they slipped through. From there, Gracias said DOGE looked at welfare programs, finding that 1.3 million migrants are now on Medicaid, and thousands and at least a handful of states are on voter rolls and voted in the 2024 presidential election. We mapped out this through the benefits program. We found every benefits program that is being accessed by these people. 1.3 million on Medicaid right now today. And by the way, it's just ramping up. It's just starting, Gracias said. So he said we looked at the voter rolls. We found out that thousands are registered to vote in friendly states. And then we looked even further into those friendly states and found out that many of those people have actually voted. It was shocking to us. And if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it. It is shockingly bad. So all the assumptions and the thoughts that we had, or I could say constructive criticism we have about these illegals coming into this country so they would vote and keep these Dems or these leftists in, is coming true. DOGE is finding out all this. These are huge numbers of people. Also, Gracias is saying that this is the tip of the iceberg. He said this doesn't even include the 7.8 million that ICE have come in illegally that we know are here, and all the people who are here illegally who we don't know who are here. I mean, it's not a political issue. It's about America. So congratulations on DOGE for finding out more. We didn't realize, I think, how dirty and messy everything was, and we're seeing that every day. They're finding out more and more. Next up, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday met with President Trump in the White House, and he immediately said he would end tariffs on the U.S. goods as President Donald Trump's reciprocal tariffs are set to take effect tomorrow. Netanyahu announced during an Oval Office press conference alongside Trump that Israel will end the trade deficit with the United States rapidly. We will eliminate the trade deficit with the United States. We intend to do it very quickly, he stated. We think it's the right thing to do, and we're going to also eliminate trade barriers, a variety of trade barriers that have been put up unnecessarily, he stated. And I think Israel can serve as a model for many countries who ought to do the same. Netanyahu also expressed empathy for Trump's stance on trade imbalances. We've been hearing President Trump talk about that a lot. He said, I recognize the position of the United States. It says, we are allowing other countries to put tariffs on us, but we don't put tariffs on them. And I'm a free trade champion, and a free trade has to be fair trade. And I think that's basically the position that you have put forward, Mr. President. Also, Netanyahu noted that he spoke with the Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick on Sunday about affecting this change in tariff policy quickly. So once again, he's not speaking about doing it down the road. He's doing it immediately, and that's some positive news. Then next up, we have Iran. The United States is speaking directly with Iran regarding its nuclear program, as President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu are committed to preventing Iran from attaining a nuclear weapon. We spoke about this article a couple weeks ago about Iran producing these nuclear weapons. Trump detailed that the direct talks with Iran while speaking with reporters alongside Netanyahu in the Oval Office. He said after the prime minister noted America and Israel remain united in the goal that Iran does not ever get nuclear weapons. We are having direct talks with Iran, and they've started. On Saturday, we have a very big meeting, the president said, and we'll see what can happen. And I think everybody agrees that doing a deal would be preferable to doing the obvious, Trump said. So he's saying that on this coming Saturday, there is a meeting that he is going to have with Iran. He wouldn't say where it was, but he said it's top officials. Trump also added, and the obvious is not something that I want to be involved with, or frankly, that Israel wants to be involved with if they can avoid it. And we know what he means by the obvious if Iran does not agree. He said, so we're going to see if we can avoid it. But it's getting to be very dangerous territory. Trump emphasized that Iran's best interest is to strike a deal with the United States. Hopefully, he said, these talks will become successful, and I think it would be in Iran's best interest if they are successful. We hope that's going to happen, the president said. Trump further stated, if the talks on Saturday are not fruitful, then Iran will be in great danger. I think if the talks aren't successful with Iran, I think Iran is going to be in great danger, and I hate to say it, great danger, because they can't have a nuclear weapon. So that's where the line is drawn in the sand, so to speak. The president has been saying for a very long time in negotiations, putting letters out, sending information out to everyone that you need to stop that program, and they haven't done it. Trump did announcement of a forthcoming meeting with Iran comes after he carried out airstrikes on the Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen. Remember, there was video out there about the strikes that they did take on the Houthis. And he said on Friday, he posted the video of the bombing of the Houthis, who he said were gathered to plan an attack. So he's having a zero tolerance policy. They knew that the Houthis were going to get together. They were going to do an attack, and they did an airstrike on them. So he has a heavy-handed warning to Iran. This is a no holds barred move on Trump. He's not going to negotiate. If you continue with these nuclear weapons and this development, then there's no more discussion. But he's being optimistic like he always is. So I think we need to pray and keep it to our hearts that things do turn out well on Saturday in these negotiations. Next up, we have some other interesting notes from the Oval Office meeting with, he calls him Bibi, Netanyahu. Trump states about 21 million illegals have been allowed in here through Mexican border and Canada, including the worst of the worst. And we've heard him say this, the mentally insane, the criminals, the drug dealers, and our judges are trying to protect them going out and being deported. We've talked about that a lot because I think it's crucial that we understand what is going on each and every day in our court system and the judges and how they're trying to protect these illegals. But Trump stated that they did not protect us, the American citizen, when all these illegals came in. And we've been talking about this on Headline Hits. The amount of pushback that the president and his administration is getting from the federal judges regarding these illegals and their rights over ours is absolutely crazy, and it's unbelievable. Trump also spoke in this meeting and to the press about the tariffs in Japan. He said Japan has to be open to our cars being brought there because we do not have one car that we are allowed to sell there. Yet they have many cars that are here, and they make millions and billions off of us when they are sold in the United States, these vehicles. And the European Union, the EU, which includes most of European countries, but not all of them, and NATO didn't take our cars or our agriculture, and they don't have anything to do with that. Not one car. He said, but we get tons of their cars here. We also have a $350 billion deficit with the EU. He said they need to buy our energy from us, and it's going to wipe out that deficit within a week. He said we have more energy in the world than anyone, and a lot of people don't realize that. And I think that's incredible because it's true. We can wipe out that deficit with good deals, he said, because they have been taking advantage of us for a very long time. So when the president breaks down the details of how we've been taken advantage of with these tariffs, it is very eye-opening. Also, regarding the hostages still being held by Hamas, the president stated that they are working hard to get them out along with Netanyahu. He said the 10 hostages we already have home that came here to the Oval Office and explained to everyone about their experiences, which were awful and inhumane. He said they asked if they were ever shown maybe a little bit of kindness, a little bit of gentleness, maybe giving a little bit of extra bread for a meal, an extra meal, or being offered a kind word, and maybe said, hey, you're eventually going to be, everything's going to be okay. And each and every one of these hostages said nothing like that was ever done. They said it was horrific conditions that they were held in, and yes, we are working hard to get them home. So when everybody's criticizing President Trump on trying to get the rest of these hostages home, it hit home and hit his heart when he heard the experiences. And if you watched it, you saw the experiences that they had. These people are very cruel that are holding them. These hostage holders are horrific. So Trump said that is a main goal, is to get the rest of these people home. And then also he brought up China. He said, when it comes to China, we lose $1 trillion a year in trade with China alone. And he said, why are we doing that? $1 trillion in other countries in trade we lose. So we easily lose $2 trillion a year. He said, our reset the table is our only chance for our country. He said, we have lost over 90,000 plants and factories since NAFTA, which he terminated through Congress, which was hard to do. He said, people may not realize, but our country was the strongest and the richest it ever was from 1870 until 1913 due to tariffs. He said, and then some genius in 1913 decided to tax we the people. He said, so from this point on, we are going to take care of our friends, but not our enemies like we have been. He said, we've been giving Afghanistan billions. Also, Gaza is a dangerous death trap. We're hoping a long-term deal can be made and that can be fixed. And then when it comes to Russia and Ukraine, he said, we are meeting with both of them. He said, but I am telling you, I'm not happy with all the bombing that has been going on all week. He said, this country is $36 trillion in debt, but we can fix it quickly with proper deals. And President Trump did end the presser by stating that any problems Israel has with Turkey, I can help solve them as long as Bibi is reasonable. And he said, you have to be reasonable. And Trump said, we can get this worked out with Turkey. I can help. So basically, Trump is balancing all these balls, right? He has all these major conflicts going on across the world. And he's staying optimistic. He's saying that we need to take care of all this. We need to be able to talk and negotiate. Then on a good note, actually, we have a Trump victory. The U.S. Supreme Court handed President Trump a victory late last night, you guys, letting him and his administration use the 1798 law that historically has been employed only in wartime to swiftly deport Venezuelan gang members as part of the president's hardline approach to immigration, granting that administration request to lift the Washington-based U.S. Judge James Boasberg's. Remember James Boasberg? He's the one that's been stirring the pot and causing a lot of problems. It was March 15th, Boasberg put that in place, the order that had temporarily restricted and blocked the summaries of deportations under the Alien Enemies Act that Trump was using. He blocked it while the litigation was in process and the case continued. But the thing is, now the U.S. Supreme Court and went up there and they gave him a victory. So Trump is allowed to use that and go back to deporting them. So hopefully we are going to hear no more about these judges trying to block anything. And then we have breaking news. We got two more little quick stories here that were breaking just before I went on the air. The DOJ revealed that Trump's assassin, Ryan Ruth, tried to buy military weapons from Ukraine to off Trump, including a rocket launcher. Ruth asked the Ukraine military for a Stinger or an RPG to take out Trump because Trump would be bad for Ukraine. Ruth goes on to say the weapons of war that are paid for and supplied by U.S. military get lost all the time on the battlefield and no one is going to miss them. So the question we have here is, Ukraine illegally smuggled U.S. weapons off to other world leaders or state enemies. Have they done that? Most importantly, the Ukraine government knew about the Trump assassination attempt in advance. Did they warn anyone? And this is a big deal. So if this is breaking out and the DOJ found out that the Ukraine knew about this, knew about these dealings. This Ryan Ruth was trying to buy military weapons to harm Trump. If they knew about it, that is going to obviously affect the Ukrainian negotiations that have been going on and ongoing with Zelensky. So we have to follow this and see what comes of this, because really this is a huge deal. And then lastly, President Trump just put out a statement. In part, this is what he had to say. Had a great call with the acting president of South Korea. He said they talked about their tremendous and unsustainable surplus tariffs, shipbuilding, large scale of purchases of U.S. LNG, their joint adventures in an Alaska pipeline, and payment for the big time military protection we provide to South Korea. So he's talking with them about the money and paying us for the big time military protection we provide them. He said they began these military payments during my first term. They were paying us billions of dollars, but sleepy Joe Biden, for some reason unknown, terminated the deal. And he goes, that was a shocker to all. In any event, we have the confines and probability of a great deal from both countries. Their top team is on a plane right now heading to the U.S., and things are looking good. He also stated that China wants to make a deal badly. He said, but they don't know how to get it started. He said, we are waiting for that call. We are waiting for that to happen. We think it will. And he said, God bless America. So President Donald J. Trump certainly has a lot that has been going on. If you think it's hard to keep up with the stories each and every day, imagine what he's dealing with, even though he has this huge administration. There is a lot. The man is sharp. The man is with it. It's very refreshing. We see now in detail how troubled this country is, and how if he would have lost this last election, we would, I think, have been lost as a country. So let's keep our prayers up for President Donald J. Trump and his administration, for all these negotiations that are continuing with these major countries, and make sure that we get peace deals, we get settlement of ceasefires, we don't go into World War III. We have a lot that we need to be thankful for, of course, in this country, but there's a lot of work to be done. And I think we just all have to stay strong, stay in prayer, and stay hopeful that negotiations win over the violence and the weapons. So that's what I have for you today for Headline Hits this Tuesday, April 8th, 2025. Thank you for joining me. Please make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and share this out for us. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow, Wednesday. It's the middle of the week, hump day, as they say. So take care. God bless. Thanks again for joining me. And I will see you guys back here noon Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Bye-bye.